Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Jamie, aka Riek here, bringing you another League of Legends gameplay. Again, I'm playing on Morgana. She's awesome, love Morgana, so I think I'm maining as like AP mid at the moment, because that's what I feel I've got the most skill in, let's say that. I tried AD carry for a little while, I wasn't too great at that, so I gave that up. I've done a little bit of support, but I'm not too good. I'm okay, I haven't got the champions really for support. I think the best support champions are like Sona, Blitzcrank's really good. I haven't got either of those, so I can't really play support when I haven't got the required champions really. I'm saving up for Karthus next, because he's a good AP mid as well. And once I get to ranked, obviously I can't just have Morgana, because sometimes she will get banned, and I won't be able to play her, so I've got to have a backup. And I really need to start practicing with someone else really, just in case that does happen. So obviously most AP mids have a few champions that they really like playing, and we'll have a favourite obviously that they will play better as, but you've always got to be slightly versatile and have a lot of options just in case someone gets banned or someone else picks them because your team prioritises getting another champion above that one. So it's pretty cool. I'm really enjoying League of Legends, as I've said, and I really enjoyed laning against this Karthus in this fight. He was good. He wasn't terrible because we both stayed pretty close on farm, and by the end of the game he'd taken a little bit of an advantage, but I got advantages in other areas, so you have to wait and see that. But yeah, we both farm really well compared to the other people on our teams. It's fantastic. Like, they don't get much farm at all, but we farm a lot. Even when, like, say we're ganking in other lanes, after the ganks happened, I lay down that, what is it? Just the little lava pool thing. I can't remember its name. I don't remember my ability names, but I know what it does. So that's all that matters. It's the W skill. But yeah, I lay that down and then walk off back to my lane. So by the time I've got back to my lane, I've got those 3 creeps, the caster creeps, because you level up your W to 3 with Morgana, and that kills caster creeps in 1. Like, if they stay in it for its whole duration, they're dead, which is awesome. It really helps on farm, so you only have to concentrate on last hitting the front creeps and the siege minion when that comes as well. Sometimes use a Q on the siege minion just to get down a little bit quicker, if I'm pushing my lane, that is. But if I'm just holding it where it is, then I never used my Q on minions. But if I'm pushing it, definitely, because it just clears it that little bit quicker. So, as I said, I'm still learning League of Legends. My positioning isn't great, and some of my engagements are stupid. But in this game, I tend to do really well. There are some occasions where I could have gone in, but I didn't, just because, I felt that I probably shouldn't have done. But then I watched it back, watched the replay, and thought, I actually could have gone in there, maybe got like a double kill. Because there's one point later on, I think, where it might be Jax or Talon, one or the other. He's in like a 1v3 just after I've killed someone. I pop back, help him kill another one, but I probably could have got another one if I stayed around, but I didn't have any of my abilities off cooldown. I'd used my ultimate, I'd used my Q and W, and I think I might have used my shield as well by then, so I didn't really have many abilities, but it probably only would have been a couple of seconds until I had those abilities back, so I maybe could have helped him out, but I didn't. So it's a bit of a judgment. You've got to get better at that. You've got to know when to engage, when not to engage, when to run away, and when to chase as well. That's another important thing. Like, generally you shouldn't chase unless you know for 100% that you can get that kill. If you've got Dark Binding off cooldown and you can land that like 100%, and by all means flash in and hit it. Yeah, go for it. I do that a bit later on. It's a really good move on my part, but for the most part you shouldn't charge. You shouldn't rush the enemy, and definitely not tower dive unless they're really low health and it only takes like maybe 2 auto attacks, or maybe like an ability and an auto attack. So other than that, they could stun you, they could pin you down, and all of a sudden you've got no HP. It's happened to me before. A champion jumped in on me, they were half health, I had like a couple of hits left. I just kited him round my tower because he had no abilities left after the fight. He just thought, yeah, I can get him with a couple of auto attacks. I was walking around my tower and he couldn't reach me. So we were like, he was the other side of the tower and we just kept circling. So he died to the turret. I got that money for the kill, and yeah, he was probably raging like pretty damn hard, I would imagine, because I would be if I was in that situation. So what's going on in the game? Let's have a little look. See, my farm is at 25. It's pretty poor for 5 minutes into the game. It should be a little bit higher than that, but you know, I've been harassing Karthus. I've probably been concentrating too much on that rather than actually getting my farm up. I always put down the little puddle. I'm going to call it puddle for this commentary. I probably should know what it's called since I play Morgana like every game. But yeah, I put down the puddle. If he's standing on it, yeah, but that's awesome. But I try and get him in it most of the time, even if it's just for 1 tick, maybe 2. Like if I've got the caster minions there and he's just standing a little bit to the front or the back, I adjust where I put the puddle so it gets him. Even like if it's 1 tick, that's good harassment. You know, that's a bit of damage that you've done for free because you're still getting your caster creeps like killed. So it's good to do that if you can. Like there, he's not anywhere near it, so I put it as close to him as possible, so it kind of stops him from going that direction. So if I wanted to push, I probably could, and he might have gone through it, which would have done a little bit more damage and made it a bit more dangerous. For the most part though, I think we both do quite well. Obviously I catch him out a bit later on and it was quite an impressive kill. Like, you know, well, not impressive, but quite a decent kill. I use my abilities well. I do a lot of damage to him because of the farm that I've got, which is something I didn't realise at the start of the game. You know, I thought, right, I'll just concentrate on him, you know, getting him out of the way, doing a lot of damage to him. But if you concentrate on your creeps more, you get more money, you get more items, and then when you do want to concentrate on him, you do a crap ton more damage, which is awesome. I didn't realise that to start with. I just thought, you know, like every new person I'd imagine, they want to get a massive kill to death ratio and loads of kills, you know, loads of assists. They want to be team fights constantly. But once you get a little bit more knowledge of the game, you realise that actually, no, I don't want to be doing that. I want to be farming as many creatures as possible, and when the opportunity arises, I need to be in a better position than him to kill him, basically. Because if he's got more farm than you, and that like opportunity arises, he's going to kill you. So you've got to always be ahead of your opposition in your lane. You know, if you can get ganks to come in to give you that even bigger advantage, then that's great. If you're down on farm, then that could help you out. That could help you get back up, because it will knock him out the lane, you'll get that money, and then you'll be able to farm creeps while he's not there. So that's pretty good. That's a big advantage if you can get a gank. Obviously, that's why it's done most of the time. But at this lower level, you generally don't have the gank. Like, you don't have the opportunities to get that many ganks. It's mainly, in this game, it's mainly me roaming around. I roamed down to bottom a couple of times. I never really go up top because they seem to have that locked down pretty well. I mean, it's backs and forwards quite a lot up there, but towards the end of the game, it gets pretty one-sided, and I think it's the Mordekaiser starts feeding quite a lot towards the end. Well, it's not intentional, you know, it's not his fault, but they've got a good partnership up the top. You know, Talon is really good, and I think the other one is Fiora, is it? Is that her name? They both have, like, well, Fiora can charge, that's awesome. Actually, no, it's Jax up the top. So obviously Jax can jump in to a fight as well. So if they jump in, then they blink away, then Fiora can charge in. So they've both got ways of shutting down gaps. So I think that helped out a lot in that top lane. Bottom lane as well, they've done quite well, obviously against an Ashe and a Caitlyn. That is a pretty tough lane. If those two got farmed, then we probably would have lost this game, like, completely. So that bottom lane was really, really important, that those two held that lane, and they did well, which they did. I was actually quite impressed with how they held that lane, because the Caitlyn Ashe combo is a hell of a lot of outputted damage, and most players, you know, would have probably fallen into the trap of getting killed by those. Luckily, they were taking minion kills from each other, So that's why you generally don't have 2 AD carries in the lane, because neither of them got that farmed, because they all share in last hits. As you can see there at the moment, Caitlyn's on 30, well 29, 30 now, and Ashe is on 12. So Ashe is not getting any farm whatsoever. And Caitlyn's buying mana potions, which is never good. Don't buy mana potions unless you really need them. Maybe an AP carry kind of get away with mana potions, but no one else really should be buying them. If anything, get a blue buff. You know, you've got the traps. Ashe can help you. You know, if you need that. Generally, you'll have a support there or a jungler, which will be handing out blue buffs to people when they come up. So generally, you won't have to, get them yourself. Really, you just have to turn up and get the last hit on the golem. But yeah, for the most part, you shouldn't buy mana potions as a AD carry. I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen anyone else do that actually. Now they've mentioned it. But yeah, potions, health potions, go for it. I buy a lot of health potions in this game, but I don't really use them that much because Morgana's got spell vamp, so I generally heal myself up the more I do damage, which is a lot. I'm always using my W to kill minions, and I generally get a dark binding off on my lane partner whenever I can, just for that little bit of harass, just for a bit of damage. Because you always want to be like harassing your lane partner if you can. Obviously, if it's a risk to do so, don't do it. But if you can do it without getting hit, which obviously with dark binding you can, like there, you see I just put him in a dark binding and then just walk away. It's a really simple thing to do. It does quite a lot of damage as well once you start getting a lot of AP. As you can see, I've got is that the Giant Scepter or something like that it's called? I can't remember what it's called, but it's something similar to that. Or I don't know. I don't know the name of all the items either, I just know what they look like, so I know what I need to buy. This is why I'm never going to be a League of Legends caster, because I don't know what anything is. I haven't got the knowledge of all the champions. There's Jax, awesome. He's got great initiate on the champions, so obviously he jumps in and he does a hell of a lot of damage. Jax is awesome, love Jax. A fed Jax is ridiculous. Like late game Jax is fantastic if you can play him right. If you can't, he's still pretty good. So he's a bit OP. He's not really, but yeah. So we're doing quite well. We're up 6-4 in kills. We're up about 1,000 gold as well, which is really important in League of Legends. If you're up in gold, and that is a massive advantage. Obviously, you can pull it back quite easily. I've seen people keep gold deficits quite close, but be down like 10-15 kills. It's just if you take down the turrets, you take down the dragons, if you get the dragon kills, you get the baron kills, and you've got good farm. If you got a good jungler, then that's awesome. If you got your AP mid is going ridiculously like crazy on farm, and your AD carry as well, if you got a good support that allows your AD carry to get good farm, and it doesn't matter a huge amount if you're down a few kills, you can still keep that gold pretty similar. And if you take good team fights and you capitalise on opportunities, you can quite easily turn that around pretty quickly. I've seen that. I saw a team, I can't remember who it was quite a while ago, but they were down for ages, most of the game that they were down, and then towards the end they got a couple of good team fights, they turned it around completely and won the game. It was impressive. For the most part, I was like, why are they not surrendering? They're miles behind. And then all of a sudden, they got an ace. They, took down all the turrets, pretty much. They took down the top, mid, and bottom turrets. And then they were on the inhibitor turrets. They took one of those down, I think, as well. And then pulled back, I think they took Baron in there somewhere. And then, once the team had respawned, they'd done it again. They got another brilliant engagement. Even though they were, they hadn't got as much farm as the other team, they'd got the Baron buff, and they had the advantage in the initiate, so they got the upper hand, and they won that as well. They got another, I think it might not have been an ace that time, it might have been 3 or 4, but it gave them the opportunity to push the turrets, the inhibitor turrets, and the inhibitors down, and then from there on it's, it's not signed, sealed, and delivered, but once you've got all 3 inhibitors down, you've got so many super minions in your base. Yeah, you'll see towards the end of this game, so many. like super minions in the base that it takes all your effort of the opposite champions to take down those minions, that they either can't concentrate on you and then you kill them, or they do concentrate on you and the siege, like the super minions, kill their base. You know, they do a lot of damage and they have a hell of a lot of HP, so they take a good amount of time to get down. At the moment, it's a pretty quiet game for me so far. It's been all top and bottom, a lot of action top and bottom so far. If you were either one of those people, then you've had quite a good game at this point. Whereas me, I've been concentrating on my farm. As you can see, I'm still 11 creeps ahead of Karthus. He starts pulling it back very soon. You know, he starts overtaking me a little bit because I start roaming around a little bit, and obviously you lose a little bit of creep farm once you do that. And there's an engagement I have a bit later on. I think it's a bit later on. It's pretty ridiculously stupid on my part. I wasn't taking notes of my mana at all, and I initiated with a dark binding, and then I realised once I'd done that I had no mana to do anything else. So I ran away with my tail between my legs, and just recalled to base. That was pretty embarrassing. I probably could have got a kill on Karthus if I had mana, which I didn't. So it wasn't too great. But yeah, I don't know what I did there. I think I realised that you can move the camera up and down at that point by accident. I don't really know how I did it, but I did. And I got put it back to where it should be for the most part. But yeah, I don't know. I still don't know how I did that. I think it might be a right click and then drag up and down. Other than that, I don't really know what I done. So I recalled back to base because Karthus got some good damage on me there, and I was a bit out of position, but luckily I didn't die. So he wasted his smite as well, which is good. So I know he hasn't got that for a little while, and I've still got mine, I do believe. Yes, I have, but I haven't got my flash. I think I had to use that to get out of that fight, so it wasn't too bad on my part. You know, flash isn't super important. Obviously it can help you stay alive in some situations, but sometimes you can just walk away quite easily, especially with Morgana. You can be walking away and they're chasing you, you throw a dark binding behind you and you're well on your way. You know, you're out of there and you haven't got too much to worry about for the most part. So another thing, I don't know why this Ashe sat in the bush, as you can see just there. There you go. I don't know why she sat there. She sat there for ages. Once I watched the replay, I was like, I didn't know she was even there. You know, she doesn't do anything. She just sits there for a little while and then goes back down the bottom, I think. Oh no, she goes round into the jungle first. I have no idea what she was doing. I obviously didn't know she was there in the game, so I stupidly wasn't buying wards, but I think I saw at this point that I had the advantage over this Karthus, and if I kept building then I could probably take him down. So I got a bit tunnel visioned there. Still should have been buying wards and all that stuff, because a farmed AP mid can destroy an AD carry like ridiculously. Obviously vice versa as well, but as towards the end of the game my dark bindings are doing like half of Ashe's HP, which is absolutely ridiculous. Like so much damage just on one spell. There you go, take out Karthus there. I think I rewind just so you can actually see me kill him there. It's a really good combo. This is another thing I love about Morgana. Combo damage is awesome. You know, you've got a couple of spells. There you go, initiate with Dark Binding, lay down the puddle, and then ultimate. I think it's Soul Shackle, the ultimate. Wow, I know a spell name, it's crazy. So it's an easy combo to do as long as you land the Dark Binding. After that, it's pretty much signed, sealed, and delivered, unless they flash out, which is something that Karthus didn't do. And another thing with Karthus is he didn't use his ultimate hugely well. Like, he didn't use it to its full advantage. Obviously, sometimes it seemed as team killing. Another good catch on Ashe as she was trying to gank. But yeah, Karthus, his ultimate is really good if used right. You've got to know how much damage it does, because I killed him. Right, I killed him. Obviously, he's a bit angry that I done that. So he just pops his ultimate for no reason. It does a little bit of damage to me, and by the time he's back in lane, I most likely will have healed up, due to my spell vamp. And everyone else in my team is pretty much full health. You know, there's the Jax obviously down the bottom, still low, but he's still getting kills. You know, he's killing people. So that ultimate was completely wasted. Like now, obviously Jax is pretty low. He could fire it now, but he hasn't got it because he just used it. He just wasted it. There's plenty of opportunities later on in the game where he could use it, but he doesn't have it because he's used it, you know, somewhere else where he necessarily didn't need to use it. So, I mean, don't get me wrong, a couple of times he hits it perfectly and he does really good. You know, he gets some good kills, you know, that they wouldn't have got otherwise with it. So, it is, you know, it's a difficult thing to use, I will admit. I'll probably realise that once I start playing Karthus, but for now, you know, I can just look at him and go, why did you do it there? Like, I can see certain situations where I'd use it and certain situations where I wouldn't use it. Obviously, if you die early in a team fight and it's a 5v5, go ahead and use it, because you know that will turn the tide of that battle. But generally, if you're in lane 1v1 and your opponent has just killed you, there's not much point using it there. It is a good ultimate if used correctly. If used poorly, it's pretty terrible, to be honest. Like with Morgana as well, her ultimate is awesome. You can jump in the middle of a fight like Reginald does from TSM. He initiates fights with Morgana. He comes in and he soul shackles, say, like 4 of the 5 members of their team. Obviously that splits them all up, so then you can pick them off one by one. You know, Chaos comes in, I think it's Chaos, and does like hell of a lot of damage because he's ridiculously good at AD carries. So their team fights are normally initiated by Reginald. He's super aggressive, and I wouldn't mind being like him one day. And half as good would be quite good. So, although it probably wouldn't really, because what's half of like? Well, I'd imagine he's like a 2,500 odd. I don't know, something like that elo, and half of that is pretty awful. So I'm probably better than half of that already. So maybe 3/4. So go with like a 2k elo. That'd be quite impressive. Something like that, 1,800. I'd be happy with that. But I'll most likely be lower than that. I'll most likely be like a 1-3, something like that. Like Krendor. I think Krendor is a 1,300. I think he said that in one of his videos once. I wish he'd done more League of Legends videos. His commentaries are good. His League of Legends commentaries. He's got a lot of knowledge about the game, which is one thing you do need. It obviously comes with a lot of gameplay and playing a lot of different champions. So the more you play different champions, obviously the more you know about them. So, and then you can know what they could do in a certain situation. So I know Karthus' abilities. I've never played him, but I know what abilities he has. So I kind of know what he can do. You know, I know his abilities quite well. So I watched Total Biscuit's video like years ago. It was quite a while ago. I think it was last year on Karthus, when he played Karthus. And from that video I kind of saw how he's played. So I think in this he doesn't really hit me with any of his bombs at all. Maybe one throughout the whole game. So that's another thing maybe he needs to work on. Maybe it's just me, because I move around constantly when I play. You know, I'm always clicking to move, which is another thing you should get in the habit of doing. It's good to keep yourself, you know, on the move all the time, so you're always ready in case something happens. I mean, I've seen people obviously like dodge dark bindings, which is not most difficult because they are quite slow, but it's still quite a good skill to be able to do. So I don't think I could do that. I get another kill on him there. That time didn't use the ultimate. Or did I? No, I did. I did use the ultimate again. So the same combo, you know, the dark binding, the puddle, and then the ultimate. It's deadly combo, and it works, I'd say 90% of the time. And again, I come down here, come bottom again, as soon as I just killed Karthus, and I get a dark binding on, get the puddle down. Unfortunately, I don't get the kill there, so I have to back off, which is a bit of a shame. I think, do I come back? I'm not sure. No, I don't come back. Just leave that. It's unfortunate that Ash actually came to back up her lane opponent. Wish she hadn't have done, because I probably could have got another kill there, which would have been nice. But, you know, you can't get them all. You can't win every battle. But it's good that I pulled back there. I put my shield up. I don't really know why, because it doesn't block attack damage. I shouldn't have said that twice. But yeah, it doesn't block that kind of damage. It blocks magical damage, so I don't know why I used it there. But I did. Maybe it blocks the arrow. I'm not sure. Might do, possibly. But yeah, I probably wouldn't. I doubt. Anyway, yeah. So I'll start farming bottom just a little bit because there's no one in that lane, so I don't want to lose. You know, I don't want that to fall behind. I think they've already lost the turret by this point, so I don't want it to fall even further back than that. I'm not sure. I can't really see. There's a window in my Adobe Premiere like previews it in is quite small, so I can't really see. I think it has gone, so it's not good. Oh yeah, because there's no like vision around it, so it's got to have gone. God, noob. Yeah, so this is that kind of mid-game now. I'm not really sure why they didn't surrender, although not at this point. You know, a bit further on, once we start completely wrecking them. You know, that's not spoiler alert. We own their face towards the end of the game. We start getting ridiculously farmed, and they have no chance. But they don't surrender, not at all, which is quite annoying. I think. You know, some games you're watching them and you think, why are you not surrendering? There you go, another initiate. Dark Binding is magic for initiating fights. We get the double there. I get another 2 assists. I like assists. Assists are good. As a support, obviously you love assists. I played support a little while, and I do like assists. Yeah, so we push this tower. I think we get it down before they return. I think Kassadin's on his way in, but we've got this tower down. There's 3 of us there. There's no chance that tower's surviving, which is awesome. Not sure if Karthus dies here. I think he goes to go back in, and then Mordekaiser turns up, so he runs away. Yeah, there you go. That's a shame. Again, he probably should have turned around a lot quicker than he did, because he only would have needed to jump in and smash him a couple of times, and he could have got that kill. But again, maybe not. He might have died. So that was obviously what was going through his mind there. He was like, "Shall I jump in on top of the? Is it Defile? Is that it? I think it's called Defile. The ring around him, basically." Karthus. He might have jumped in and got damaged by that and died and not got the kill, which would have been obviously a lot worse. And they go another 2v2 there. I just don't think they get any of those, unfortunately. If I'd have been there, probably would have done. As they were backing off, fired off a Dark Binding, probably would have got a nice easy kill there. And they catch him. Is that? Oh, I can't remember his name. Nocturne. I think it's Nocturne. They catch him out of position. And it's a counter gank, really. I suppose that's what you could call that. Jax picks up Ashe though, out of nowhere. Not even sure where Jax is at this point. I can't see him on the map. Oh, he died. So he went in there just to get the low HP Ashe and died. It was a bit stupid, a bit reckless. Probably could have left that, just backed out of there. And survived. You know, that would have been the kill that they wouldn't have. Yeah, we wouldn't have that kill either. But their one was assisted, which is the big difference in that. Now, a 1v1 is fine if it goes either way. It's good for one person. If you get a 2v1, you know, maybe the one person kills one of the two, but then the other person kills him. That's more gold because there's 1 assist and 1 kill. Whereas in the other, you know, the person who's on his own just got 1 kill. And that was a really terrible way of explaining that. But I hope you got the idea of what I was trying to say there. It's better, always better, to back out of a 2v1. Unless you know you can get both, obviously. Then go ahead, you know, go crazy. But other than that, you really shouldn't. You know, because they'll get assisted kills and that's even more gold for them. So that is feeding. That is the definition of feeding right there. Got Jax here. I'm not sure if we push up here. Maybe catch one of them out. I don't think we do. Because they're behind their turret and you can't really initiate when they're behind their turret. But again, Mordekaiser goes down again. So he's starting to feed up a little bit. He's 2 and 7, which is obviously pretty bad. Ashe is 1 and 5, which is also terrible. I think the only person who's going positive on their team is Caitlyn with 5 and 4. But even that, you know, that's only just positive. Again, now I blink through the is it Wall of Pain, I think it's called, and fire off Dark Binding just to get the kill on Caitlyn, which is cool. I love blinking through that, or flashing through it, sorry. I played a mage for years in World of Warcraft, always say blink. But yeah, flashed through it just so it didn't slow me down and fired off the Dark Binding, so we still got the kill. Because she was probably about to, you know, get away. And again, come back in, another Dark Binding, and catch out Karthus. Honestly, Morgana, so good. Like, so good. Initiate is amazing, and she can just pull kills out of nowhere. You know, generally you're sitting there, Karthus is behind his turret, you won't get that kill. With a Dark Binding, you get that kill. That's the magic of Morgana, and I don't know. I do want to play other AP mids, but when I've got the opportunity to play Morgana, I don't really want to play anyone else because she is so good. You know, obviously I've got to practice with Karthus definitely, because he's one of the stronger AP mids. And there's probably some others that I definitely should, like Gragas as well, another one. He's really good, and he's picked quite a lot in the professional scene. So I think if, you know, once I unlock them, I haven't got the points, what is it, IP or RP to unlock them at the moment. I would buy them, but I can't afford it at the moment. I'm a poor student now, so, well, I will be soon, not quite yet. But I'm saving to make it slightly easier on myself, and so I can still play World of Warcraft while I'm there. Obviously, need that £10 a month. Yeah, so it's obviously getting on now in this game. We've still got a good amount of time left. I think about like 10-15 minutes still left in this game, so it's a long game. I've said to myself that I wasn't going to do long games. Another Dark Binding pick up there. I said to myself I wasn't going to do like long games, like really long. Like my first one was a 20-minute surrender. I've got another 20-minute surrender on my hard drive where I do really well. But I really wanted to put this game up because it shows that I've improved. You know, it shows some really good play from me and my team. You know, we had a good team composition, and we used it well. Another Dark Binding Initiate. This time doesn't get the kill. I know it does. You know, Fiora jumps in there. Is it Fiora? I might be saying it wrong. It might be Fiona. One of them. Anyway, that woman with the rapier jumps in there and gets that kill off, which is awesome. So another initiate by me. That is my job in team fights, is to get that first bit of damage out. Because obviously, if you can get the initiate well, you know, if you can get the upper hand going into the fight, that is awesome. You know, you're pretty much in a good shape to dominate that fight. Whereas if you don't, you know, if you get a bad initiate, they get the advantage at the start, then generally they're in a better position. Even if you are more farmed, if the other team gets a good enough initiate, they can still beat you. You know, you could be farmed to hell, and if the fight does not go in your favour, you know, if you're all out of position, they catch you out, then you can still die. Another Dark Binding Initiate. Oh, so good. It's like my favourite spell in this game, by far. It's ridiculously good. I don't think there's another spell, like, on its own with so much utility. Like, it's just crazy. Again there, I think I catch Karthus out. He's about to push up. But Dark Binding him, we turn it round. Unfortunately, we don't get the kill there. He's flashing so low. If I had an Ashe, quite happily just spam an arrow up there. But we don't, so unfortunately can't get that kill. He walks away. Obviously deeply hurt with his tail between his legs, but he gets away nonetheless. That's another amount of gold that we don't have on our team, which is a shame. As you can see now, I'm on 203 creep kills, and Karthus on 221, so as I said, he does take the advantage towards the end of the game. I think he finishes on like over 300, which is ridiculous. I don't quite get to 300, but I get a lot more kills and assists yet, so it's quite good. I think I'm the only one, I'm the only one that hasn't died yet in this game. Unfortunately, don't keep that going till the end, which is a shame. I make a stupid decision towards the end and I die, so only one death in a 45-minute game. I think that's quite impressive. Morgana has got some ridiculous survivability, obviously because the Dark Binding mostly helps you get out of sticky situations. I remember I was against a Pantheon once, and he kept, you know, he jumped in on me, and I was pretty low health, but I Dark Binding him and flashed away, and that's it. You can even not even need the flash, but I wanted to make sure that I got away because I was pretty low health. And there was a person on my team that was feeding, so I didn't want to give another kill to the Pantheon because he was already pretty well fed up, so that's not good. Pantheon is quite a good champion. Not the best, I won't admit. He's not played that much at all. I've only seen him a couple of times in the matches I've played, but he's quite good. He does a lot of damage, so Right, so we're at 32 to 18 kills. That's a lot. You know, we're only, what is that, 6k ahead? It's not that much. You know, it's not that much gold advantage really, considering how many more kills we've got. It's because that Karthus mainly. You know, a couple of others have got really good farm as well, but the Karthus is doing really well on farm. I can't believe Ashe has only got 49 last hits. 30 minutes into the game, that is pretty terrible, I will admit. Obviously she's 1 and 8, so she's not doing that well, but still you should be above 49 last hits. Only really support should be lower than that, but even then, by this time probably your AP carries will have most of the stuff they need, so the support, AD and AP carries should have most of the stuff they need by this time, so even your support can start last hitting at that point and get their gold farm up a little bit. So 49, that is awful. And then they got 39 on Kassadin as well, which is just as terrible. I can understand why they lost this game, but I can't understand why they didn't surrender this game. That's something they definitely should have done. Because by this point, it's quite clear that we're going to win. You know, we've got all of our people are farmed up really well. You know, you got 4 and 3. Is that 8 and 3? Is that 8 and 5 maybe? 6 and 5, 9 and 4, 7 and 0. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of kills, not many deaths, and obviously when you see our creep farm as well, we're in such a great position right now. Another Dark Binding initiate there, doesn't get him too low, but starts the team fight off in a really good way. See, Talon gets a double kill there, Jax gets 1, Fiora gets 1, and I'm not sure, do we get this last one? Karthus gets a kill there, but Jax finishes it up. So that was a really good team fight. We get an ace there. And only lost one person. I think we all go back now, or we might push turrets, I'm not sure. I think me and Jax push turrets here, I think so. But yeah, again, great initiate from me. You know, it starts the fight in a good way, and then from there on out, you know, I soul shackle a couple of them, and we just get, you know, ridiculous advantage in that team fight because of our great I was going to say competition, but that's not the right word. Can't think of the word, but yeah, something like that. It starts with a C. Pretty sure. It's had an absolute mind blank there, but yeah, me and Jax take down 2 turrets, which is awesome, and then we go back because obviously they've started respawning. We don't want to take too much damage, and we want to go back, maybe buy some items with that, a lot like that ridiculous amount of gold that we've just got. I'm up to 9 assists now. I was on 5 before that, so I assisted on 4 of those kills, which is quite impressive. Right, we got Jax has got his Trinity Force, which is a ridiculously overpowered item for Jax. It's pretty cool. We're all going to be doing like so much damage now. It's ridiculous. Like at this point, I think this is when my Dark Bindings start doing like half HP to Ashe. This is just crazy. There's so much damage. I think I've been ahead on levels for this whole game as well. It's another thing, because I've been farming quite a lot. I've got a lot of XP, and I was the first to hit 18 as far as I know. Maybe Karthus beat me to it, I'm not sure, but we were miles ahead the whole game. Like, it was ridiculous how far ahead we were. Another fight there, another team fight. I'm not involved in this one, but we still do really well. I think Jax gets a triple. Yep, Jax got a triple kill, awesome. And the Ashe arrow came in from nowhere and hit absolutely no one. It was awful. But yeah, they didn't even need me in that fight. It was like, I think it might have been 4v4, I think it was. It was actually a 4v4. And we got out with Talon and Jax, still like pretty much max health. And we only lost 2, so that was a pretty good fight again. Then they take this advantage up, and I think they might get this turret down, I'm not sure. I'm pushing top, obviously, because you don't want just one lane pushed, you want to push them all if you can. So I pushed up and get this turret down, which is awesome. If you notice, before that team fight, they did actually ping me. Purple team did ping me, and they were going to try and gank me, but then because of that, because they were running up to try and get me, my team got a good initiate on them. So I'm not taking any credit for that whatsoever, because I had no idea that they were going to do that, but in me being a distraction up top was enough to put them on the back foot in that initiate for that team fight. So in a way, you know, I did have something to do with that, just for split pushing. You know, you get a good advantage with split push, but it wasn't intentional whatsoever. Obviously you're up there making a distraction, but you don't know if it's going to work or not. You don't think, right, if I stand up here, they're going to try and get me, and then my team can get an initiate on them. I didn't have that planned. I just thought I'd be a bit of a pain in the arse and go up the top and get some farm. So it worked out really well, I have to say, but it wasn't, I didn't intend for it to work as well as it did. So I was happy with that. Once I've realised what happened in mid, it was pretty cool. So we're getting towards the end of the game now. We've got like 5 minutes or so left, I think, in this game, something like that. And at this point, I don't know why they don't surrender. This is something I really want to talk about because it annoys me so much. I just watch games and I think, right, you've got 2 people on your team that are maybe 1 in 10. You're not going to win this game. 3 people can't carry a team against 5. Unless they're obviously ridiculously different skill difference. But even then, it'll still be pretty tricky because 3v5 is not easy. But yeah, so I think people need to realise when to surrender in games like this, because it does waste a hell of a lot of time. They could have surrendered by now. Even saved us 5 minutes would have been good, but they don't. They make us kill every inhibitor, every single turret, and their base. It's really annoying. I hate it when people do that. If I can kind of see when we're not going to win the game. I can look and see, alright, we're quite a long way behind. We're obviously not going to win this game. So then I put a surrender vote in, and everyone's like, I'm not surrendering, we can win this. I'm like, it's 20 minutes in, we're down by 10 kills. We're not going to win this game, Obviously, some people want to just play it out just to get more, maybe if they get 2 more kills in the game, they'll be happy, because they've killed 2 people. But I'd rather not waste another half an hour of my time just to maybe get, a couple more kills. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather start again, start a new match, and, different teammates, maybe, different champions, and see how I fare then. Because I think, again, that goes back to me wanting to get more experience. The more games I play, obviously the more experience I get. I don't want to be playing games where we're just getting stomped, because there's a couple of people on my team farming. Maybe I'm feeding, sorry. I don't want to play a game like that. I want to play a game where it's a fair fight. Maybe we push them back for a little bit. Good skill, a few good engagements, something like that. But for the most part, I want to play even games. So I think that will be a lot better experience playing even games than ones that aren't even. Obviously, this is that point I was talking about where Jax jumps in, and I really could have gone back and I could have helped him out, and we possibly could have got another kill. You see the Kassadin there has got ridiculously low HP. The Caitlyn's got low HP. I could have taken him out, but that was a poor decision on my part. I will admit that it was terrible. I looked back at it in the replay and I was like, why did I do that? I should have been there to help him out. Even though I had none of my cooldowns really at that point, I still should have been there. Just for maybe an auto attack on Kassadin would have killed him. I had my flash up, I could have got out of there quite easily. By that time I maybe would have had Dark Binding on, so again, I could have got out easily. But I chose not to, chose to retreat, which seemed a good idea. But then when I watched the replay, I realised Kassadin was so low, and Jack's done so ridiculously well in that fight, that if I'd have been there, we could have done a lot better than we did. But unfortunately I wasn't there. So at this point, we're just completely rolling over them. And this is where I make the stupid decision to push up, and I get killed by a Kassadin. It was ridiculous. I could have left that, but I didn't. I should have gone back ages ago, but I didn't. Once I got the kill on Karthus, probably should have backed off. There's a lot of siege minions in there, a lot of super minions in there doing a hell of a lot of damage. But instead, I chose to try and be a hero, and I died. So that was my only death of the game, which is pretty good, for a 45-minute game to die once. That's pretty impressive. So, you can't really complain about that. But again, at this point, it's obvious they're going to lose, It takes them the whole time, for me to get back. They're still killing super minions. it's obvious that they're not going to win at this point. You know, it's so obvious. But again, they don't surrender. It's annoying. It's really annoying that people don't know when to give up. Because I don't know what it is. I think it's just the fact they don't want to lose. They don't want to admit that they've lost the game. But it's so frustrating when you waste another 20 minutes on top of what you needed to, just because they refuse to surrender. And it's even worse when you're on a team that needs to surrender. Maybe there's one of these people, like the Karthus maybe. You know, he's in a good position, but you can see that his team is awful. You know, they're not going to win. And maybe he's voting to surrender, but no one else on his team wants to. You know, maybe the Ash is like, no, we can win this, even though he's 1-12. You know, I've seen that happen before, and it is quite frustrating at times that happens. But you know, it's the game. Hopefully, when I get to ranked, it will be less like that, and people will actually know when to surrender. But I doubt it, unless you're in a team, you know, an organised team. I doubt that will happen. You know, obviously, then once you've got a good knowledge of the game, once you're in a good team, you'll know if you're going to win or not. You know, you'll have a great idea whether you can turn this around or not. But you know, it's a tough one, and you suppose you just got to get used to that. For you know, while you're at low levels, you got to get used to the fact that people are going to want to stay in games for some weird reason, even though they've lost basically ages ago. But yeah, get another kill there on Karthus. I've killed him so many times in this game. It's ridiculous, but you know, all of them were good kills. You know, he played Karthus well, I'll admit that, and then got Ash as well there, but he played well, and I think if he had gone on a different team, he would have been a lot better, because he got good farm. You know, he was 8-8, that's a reasonable score, you know, it's not terrible, and he got 330 farm. That's ridiculous. Obviously he got a lot more because at the end there we had 3 lanes flushing into his base. Obviously he got a hell of a lot of kills there, but generally he was really good at farming. You know, he got that farm up quite high. So, but yeah, at this point we're down to the Nexus and got the last push there. I think Talon gets a great kill there on Kassadin. He's just going to get back into his base, but he flashes up and owns his face, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, Kassadin probably could have blinked up into his base because he's got that skill that allows him to teleport, but he didn't use it, so he thought he was safe, but it turns out he wasn't, so he got demolished. It was a good game overall. My team played really well. We played well together. I think our composition, that's that word I was thinking of earlier, composition was good against theirs, and that, you know, their team farmed a little bit, fed a little bit more than they should have done. But yeah, anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hope you enjoyed it. It's been a long one, but I'll see you next time. Goodbye for now.